Hey guys, today we've got another recap video. Annoying, I know, but stupid Apple turning off my, blooming microphone, so I can't get my hour and a half of recordings I did. But instead, I will just do 2 recaps in one, and I'll just add them to the video that you're gonna see now. So you may be wondering why I outlined these guys. That's because if we turn on this map, whoa, Division of Africa. So for starters, I'm not gonna do that yet. So, Italy, first thing that happens is that explorers go down, blah blah blah. When they return, guess what? They've got the bubonic plague. The plague has officially started, and the anarchist team, I drew a map, a little plague map, which I'll show you in a bit. But yeah, so the Carthage got it. But speaking of the Carthage, they just got attacked by Rome, as Rome kind of went down the sides. They wanted Sicily most, but a good old Rome versus Carthage battle doesn't hurt. And they took this land, they took down to here. And then if we go up, you see that they've stopped somewhere around there. And that's where they signed a peace treaty. Yeah. They also went down and got all of Greece. So yeah. So after that, we saw the Division of Africa, where we see that the tribal nations, don't worry, I did use provinces. So, anarchist team divided in half between Iberia and Israel. Divided into thirds for. Divided into thirds, 2/3 going to Iberia, 1/3 going to Israel for the purple tribal team. Germany, which I'll get into in a minute, got all of the South African tribal nation plus a bit more land, and Somalia got all of the yellow tribal nation, and Sudan got all of the Israel got all of the Sudanese. So anyway, onto that thing. Yeah, basically these two are close, They're very tight with each other, so during the division, Italy, when they got their land, they made sure that Germany got some as well. But anyway, actually, let's go on to that. Let's go on to the division. As we see, Iberia extended their colony a lot outwards. They also got this tiny bit of land. Israel just kind of went from one side to the other. How kind of Britain wanted to go just downwards. They did a more feasible sidewards. Even though, most of this is desert there. And, this is all desert. And whatnot. Somalia expanded a lot from, this. That's a lot of land to just get. And, yeah, South Africa, Germany got. So, yeah, that's basically it. But anyway, let's get into the Big Papa. So, North China here, there used to be a, I'm just going to use the Korean colour for this. No, the Italian colour. The colour of Rome. There used to be a, there used to be a Korean team there. And they had their, ethnically, culturally, whatever you want to call it. The map looked something like this, kinda, with also the colon and the archipelago islands of, like, Japan. You know, so they had all of that. I mean, they didn't have that little island, though. And North China, after some ethnic cleansing, you know, I think I already discussed this before. But, you know, they came in. Let me just take this back. And they pushed it back, so there's no more line there. And they kind of just wiped Korea out of existence. So the Macau Defensive League, which is these guys, it's a square alliance. I don't know if it was talked about last time, but there's like a square alliance between all of like the French Indochina countries, you know, just Southeast Asia, plus India and South China. All these guys are also there because they're part of their colonies. I mean, not these. I guess they all set up their own alliance, and as a collective, they all launched an attack on North China for this after warnings. And basically, you know, it was back and forth. North China did a bit, no, South China did a bit, North China did a bit. It was back and forth on that front, while India was just like, yes, this is so easy. You know, like North China would get Taiwan and Philippines, South China starting to get the coast, whatever. But it ended up with borders going up, something like this. But lucky for me, I don't have to show you that. I mean, I don't know, I don't have to imagine that. I just show you that. And they ended up looking something like this. So if you look at the before and after, first up, I cleaned up this. Like, all of this that got away. But yeah. They got reduced to just this. And during that, the Korean team, like, you know, they broke away. And they started fighting. And a, like, Japanese team, you know, broke away as well. And they ended up getting some of this Sakhalin territory and whatnot. No, I meant the Siberian. They also got Sakhalin, though, because Sakhalin tried to break away, but it didn't really work out for them. So Japan took that stuff. So yeah, that all kind of happened. And I think that was kind of it. I mean, as you can see if we go on the map, like, they did a lot more, like, Russian exploration, which is always nice of them. But yeah. So anyway, we're gonna delete, wait, one good look at it, it's gone now, oops, oh yeah, we have a, African thing, they're also gone. So now we see this map, and we're gonna show what happened. So, yeah, there's no way I can really show this, but, like, kind of there. I don't know how to show this to you. Wait, hang on, like that. But Italy and Germany basically, like, led the movement to get states, basically, like, not United States, but, like, kind of but kind of, like, they kind of did the movement to get states, but not, like, United States. Like, just, I don't know how to explain it, like, I genuinely don't. But, like, I don't know, kingdoms or like what Rome kind of had. Not this Rome. Real Rome. Pretend this is a religion map. So, it's so different. Catholicism, which is the Italian religion, spread up into France, and they were allowed to do that. And it kind of took over France, Catholicism. While the Netherlands was taken over by Orthodoxy, which is not this colour, but you'll see soon, as it kind of spread down there. I'm not going to include the religion maps on my final map. Just to make the borders a bit less gory, we saw a little union there, but also they added states, so yeah, and that was suspicious. Then Crimea had a king, and he was happy, he was like, oh yay, I'm king, and then some guy is like, I don't like this king. He's got a gun. Bam. Dead. And the king is assassinated. They can't find out who, and probably never will, until they get good enough technology. It's like far, far in the future. But this king, the new king that is put in, because he basically had no sons. Like, he had a half-son, but nobody wants him. And he had no children. He also didn't have any daughters. So it was just like they just kind of put someone else in. He had no heirs. They just put someone else in, and he just so happened to be an oligarch. And that's suspicious because oligarchy is like in one of these two countries, and Caspia, two neighbouring countries. Suspicious. Anyway, Macau. Let's draw them back in. They had North China. And they all decide it's for the best if pioneered by South China, they're the leader of the Macau thing, because their headquarters is there in Macau. They decide to all go democratic. We see the birthplace of democracy is South China. And yeah, all of them turn it into a democracy. I can't bother to find the colour. So pink again. But Borneo broke away from Vietnam. There was an update to the plague map. Caspia, so. Forgot to say the shaft borders. But these guys shaft their borders with each other. So did Vietnam. And that is because the plague went from France, who went round Iberia through the Suez Canal. Let me make this look proper. So they went around Iberia, through the Strait of Gibraltar, through these seas, through the Suez Canal, down into the Red Sea, in which then they went across around here, sailed, whatever, did that, and then they landed in Australia, the colony, and then Australia sent it to these guys, who sent it to these guys, who sent it to these guys, who then sent it back into the mainland, who sent it back into the mainland, and these guys weren't sent back into the mainland, but India is still managing to govern them. India is still doing stuff to help, and South China got it there, whatever. So that all kind of happened, and because of this, Vietnam lost Borneo, because they broke away, because nobody was, no Vietnam people were there, so okay, we're leaving, we're out of here, and they're going to be a monarchy, probably constitutional, I don't know. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. And make them. But anyway, wartime. Alexandria starts a big push. Wait, actually, I can just show you. Look, this was the Colossi. Borneo broke away. Anything else I missed up here? Yeah. Not that I know of. Oh yeah, Greece. Yeah, Carthage still owns that. I don't know if I coloured it in last time. But no, Carthage still has that. Yeah, let's go back to it. Yeah, Alexandria invades into North Africa. And you've got to keep in mind their capital is like there. No. Somewhere there. So that push is very dangerous. Like that spearhead. But you got to remember, this is just a dinky fella. You know, they kind of look like... Yeah, they kind of look like that. And the land they got, like, the coast that they got was just because it's surprised. But then they get pushed back heavily. Because, you know, they're like, we're not losing to Alexandria. Not all that way. But, you know, like, they're pushed back to, like, that. And that's when Israel is like, hey, it's me. And then they connect up these two things. And they start going for this Saharan stuff. And then Alexandria's like, here's my chance. And they go over here. And they invade into Carthage. And before you know it, there's a peace treaty. Which looks something like that. Well, actually, it looks exactly like that. Where North Africa is pushed back heavily. And Egypt gets all of their, like... They get all their old lands, but in exchange... Wait. What? Yeah. They got all their own old lands, but in exchange they lose all of this stuff, whatever. They didn't have that, though. And Israel, they just kind of wanted control of the Suez. And all of this. And that's why they agreed to lose all of that. I mean, more like, all of that. So, yeah. I don't know what I can really say here, but there's probably a trade route here. Basically, visualize the trade routes. No, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you in a second. The trade route's finished. And India's and Vietnam remain decent economy. They're trading with each other. But since shutting off their borders, Somalia is really suffering. And that's exactly what I wrote down without even looking at it. Yeah, they're really suffering and they're doing pretty badly. Final product. As you can see, all of that. As you can see, Borneo's away. As you can see, they look like they're really struggling. Well, I guess let me do the actual episode now. Well, not now, but in the future. Hopefully I remember to do trade routes and whatnot. Plague map. See you in a sec. Alright, so here's the actual video part of this video. I'm really sorry that I couldn't upload the other two videos. And it's really annoying for me as well, but, you know, you just gotta live with it sometimes. So let's get right into it. Right, layer. Oh yeah, I guess I can show you all the maps now. County map, capital map. We've got capitals on a separate layer. State map. That's what it looks like. Yeah, so this is what I can only guess as, yeah, the trade route map. So we have a triangle going on in Ireland, you know, British Isles kind of thing. You know, we've got a lot of also connecting to the major cities, just kind of branching off, whatever. And that's pretty nice. It's a real shame if you kind of live here, because either you have to go, like, to this trade route, probably this trade route, or, like, one of these. But, like, imagine you live there. That's going to be annoying to trade anywhere. But, yeah. Or, like, anywhere in Africa. But, yeah, these are the trade routes. You've got a weird mountain-looking thing here. Oh, yeah, for the trade, or whatever. You know, some branches off, going along the counties, whatever. You know, we've got all of this stuff all the way around Australia, New Zealand connecting, whatever. As you can see here, we've got the plague map. So this is what it's looking like so far. Pretty cool, I guess. Oh, yeah, also, these guys don't have it. But I probably need to fix that because I did the unification. And they're going to start there and move into there. Hydrology map hasn't changed since I last said. Alliance map. Yeah, it looks about the same. And stability map, I'll get into that on a later date. But I don't really feel like it right now. So anyway. Let's stay on this map, as we are going to see a new alliance form. This is going to be the Diamond Alliance. And this is going to be formed by Italy and Germany. And yeah, they're just going to form this triangle? Diamond Alliance. And they're going to try to get other people to join, like these guys, Crimea, Nordia, Danes, whatever. And the first thing that this alliance is going to do is going to be like, hey France, yeah, goodbye. And they don't expect, like, a retaliation from France as they march their way into, like, this southern part. Like, they don't expect a response from France because when they invaded France before, also they do a cut-off here. When they invaded France before, France tried to fight back, but, like, none of their allies kind of came to their aid. That's what I mean by a response. But, the other countries are going to come in. So Iberia is going to not do that. Iberia is going to come in and, you know, help re-liberate France, along with the British and the Dutch. Iberia is going to focus a lot of their forces on kind of going down into the, like, colonies, if you will, as they make a lot of strives for it. The Dutch are going to take this coastline, severely damaging, like, Germany's kind of economy, because, you know, they haven't got any English Channel coastline anymore. So in response to this, they are going to, like, blitzkrieg through, can't be using that word, Germany, dude. And they are just going to send all their forces in at once to just take all of that. And they are going to try and they're going to cut off the capital and, like, Brittany from the rest of the country. Rome is going to start their own push into Iberia, taking all of France and taking the capital very quickly. Germany is going to continue their invasion and take over all of France as they quickly push into the Netherlands, cutting them into two pieces and taking all of this land, as the Netherlands tries to push out a bit, but it's not going very good. Now, you may be thinking, what is Britain doing in all of this? Well, they've attempted, like, a few landings across the coast of France to try and, like, re-liberate them from the north, you know, get down to here, blah, blah, blah. But all of these have failed. They've all been wiped out. So they've decided a better choice to do is that they have sent down their forces, and specifically their navy, as even in this timeline, they've, like, got a really good navy, as they just send all of their guys down to take over South Africa. And these guys don't like the Germanic rule, So they quickly surrender over. Germany is really annoyed at this. And, like, in response, they're going to push the Dutch back to, like, here before the Dutch try to push back out. And it's kind of a back and forth. Germany pushes it back a lot. The Dutch fight back. Whatever. But yeah, Germany is doing what they can. Meanwhile, in Iberia, the Italians have continued sending out their forces, taking over the entire Gibraltar Strait, and eventually the entirety of the Iberian Peninsula collapse. If you go on the province map, these are the only provinces that really, like, matter. All of this is just kind of Sahara and uninhabited stuff. So, after taking, like, all of this coastline and going around and, like, you know, kind of going like that, kind of, Iberia finally surrenders. Also, I'm going to colour in these islands. And once and for all, like, this war kind of ends as Germany, you know, make a few landings. Britain make a few landings, like, away more. Because Germany have a lot of failed landings. But the armies of these guys are too, like, powerful. Like, the British Navy is better than the Germanic Navy. So, the only way they're getting through is there. And the only way they got there was when Britain sent all their guys down to South Africa. And they also forgot to do that. But the German army is better than the British, so every time they make a landing, it's just destroyed immediately. So, yeah. Let's look at a peace treaty, like, here. Alright, so I'm actually going to do this, like, peace treaty live with you. So, Italy is going to get these parts of France. Let me just clean this up a little bit. I'll clean it up in a bit. They're going to get all of the coastline of... Actually, I should turn on capitals. They're going to get the entire coastline, like, Mediterranean coastline of the Iberian country of Iberia, along with the entire Gibraltar Strait. And they only let Iberia keep their capital because they got the coastline, and also because they got this giant piece of land in the south. So they've definitely expanded their stretch. Alright, so over to Germany, they got, like, all of this Dutch land, kind of giving the Dutch their modern-day borders, along with this French land. So they got the majority of France, but that makes sense because, you know, they got all of, like, this north, and they also did a lot of the work. And Italy did all of the work in Iberia, so that's why they got so much land. But Britain actually gained land in this, like, treaty. They got South Africa, basically, meaning that the English Empire, I will alternate between the UK, Britain, England, because they are technically England, but they've got most of the land of the UK. But yeah, the, like, English Empire has officially formed, but Britain, with their new plague inmates, finally break through Somalia, as Iberians also, like, go over there, I guess, and the Israelis, who have been trying to migrate there, because they fear that they're going to be in a big war. They have all infected, like, Somalia with the plague, and it spreads, and now Somalia is not only losing a bunch of people, but they've lost a lot on the economy. And I'd also like to bring up the plague because of this war. This war could have been so much more deadly, but luckily, like, Germany only lost maybe 100,000 to 200,000 troops from these, because both sides barely had any. France lost 100,000 troops. France lost about 500,000 troops. Germany lost about 300,000. Rome lost about, like, 500,000 as well. Iberia lost around 200,000, and England lost about 100,000. I'm not going to give you all of these numbers, in the future. I just wanted to say. But yeah, Somalia gets the plague. And England, after getting this colony, is like, whoa, this was nice. and like this. So they decide to go all the way over, and they're like, hey, we want some spices. So they kind of do this. Oh yeah, also, France, they got fully next up here. They're still here, except this is an independent nation now. So I'm just going to give it a new colour, I guess. So the Australasian team is going to be this, mint colour, or as 80s Pro likes to call it, seafoam green. Yeah, it's going to be this really light mint colour. And, we have got the first official independent oceanic country, taking over basically all of Oceania. But anyway, back to the invasion. Britain is going to continue their invasion on Borneo. And the Macau Defense Organisation is going to take this as an attack. They're like, hey, there used to be Vietnam. You don't want to go to war with us because we're very strong and we could easily beat you. And Britain, or England, is kind of like, yeah, but they're not in the alliance. I'm pretty sure they're not. Yeah, they're not in the alliance. They broke away from Vietnam because of how Vietnam was treating them. And also because they were just different. So we're allowed to do this. And eventually they do have to let it slide. But, they are not happy about this. And England goes for the full annexation, taking over all of Borneo. And, I'm going to list all of the empires. I'm going to dot them. So we have got the Roman Empire, or the Greater Roman Empire, because we already had a Roman Empire. We had the German Empire, the Germanic Empire, but that's no more. We have the Iberian Empire, the English Empire. We used to have a French Empire, but there's no more French Empire. The Israeli Empire. No, that's just big Somalia. And yeah, that's about it. So after this invasion of Borneo, we see that Vietnam, basically just collapses. Oops. Because Vietnam was taken over, because Borneo was taken over, they still had an agreement where they could get discounted trades and whatnot, as long as they didn't get the plague. But England was like, no, you don't get that. And also, the economy has dipped so down after cancelling all trade with everyone apart from India. They are not getting enough resources, so that basically, they have become so poor. Or, yeah, I guess. They have declared bankruptcy, and we are, They declare bankruptcy, and, yeah. So they are officially divided among their, borders. So that means that this Thai team, Siam, Thailand, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I'm going to give them this promise as well. These guys are all going to get that much land, and South China is going to get all of that. And if we go on the religion map, that's not good because all of that land likes the South Chinese religion. So, yeah. But, whatever. We're also going to see that because of the economic surgence, they're kind of getting, these guys are still getting, these two have still got, good economies after that. And they're like, hey, why are we so divided? If we go on, the religion map, we've got basically the same religion, apart from a few areas in the West. We've kind of got the same culture. We're both strong. We both like each other. So they decide, in the end, that it is time to unify. And, yeah, we now have a massive India here. And now we can edit the plague map. So these guys... Oh, wait, no, they were already unified anyway. But we can edit the alliance map, as we can get rid of these two big squares. And speaking of which, We can also get rid of Vietnam. And we can just replace it with this. We also see that because these guys have gone democratic and they are paying reparations to Korea and Japan, who they suppressed, we are going to see that Korea and Japan actually join the Macau Defensive. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm going to pronounce it Macau. The Macau Defensive Organization. I don't think the other team. Alright. But I'm going to spend a bit on the religion map. First up, I am just going to change this like Danish religion colour to this one, to a Nordic one, because despite it being the Danish colour, it is formed more widely and is widely known in Nordia. And also I have plans for the Danes later. That's really the main reason. But yes, we're going to switch it to that colour. But if we go on the anarchist religion, we see a bunch of little sprouts kind of mixed around. And these sprouts are going to, one by one, kind of connect up. You know, these guys form a big pact there in the Sahara. And they all just kind of connect up with one another until they make this big splodge. But don't worry, because the religion is going to continue to spread. They connect up with this dot as they kind of destroy more and more of this red religion. Which, can I talk about this red religion? We've got the Egyptian religion is massive. And then we've got a separate Egyptian religion and two others. And like they're everywhere. Anyway, on the topic of religions, let's get right into it. First up, the Greek religion. Greek religion is eradicated, as we see that crusades by the Catholics and the Turkish guys, I guess, whatever. Those guys, they all defeat the Greek religion, but this Nordic religion is spreading as they connect up there. And we also see that as terms of Rome taking over Iberia, they are allowed to spread their religion. And the French religion is barely surviving, as we also see that they get to spread their religion on the north coast of Africa. But that's it. And we're actually going to see that, like, let me see if I've used this colour yet. I have. It's annoying. But England is going to, Ireland is going to start their own religion, along with the populated areas of England, being just Wales and the southwest. And this quickly spreads until eventually it's at, the normal English-Scotland divide. This is the one there. This is the one in, roughly real life. And, it kind of just stops. Okay, yeah, it looks a bit like that. It kind of just stops there. And they're like, nah, we're not going to take that religion. And, yeah, that's kind of what happens with that religion then. We're also going to see that, not by crusades, but just because of the surrounding places, that this yellow, tribal religion is slowly dying. They've lost two of the three major lakes. Well, two of the three, major lakes, I guess, that they had. And they've been limited to just that tiny bit. This religion is going to expand a bit more, creating, that divide. And we're also going to see that the purple team religion is going to get beat on even more, as they lose some of the coastal folk to that religion. As I said, I have plans for the Danish religion, and that's because in Denmark, so down to there, and then in these islands, some of which are owned by Germany, and it actually stretches all the way down to there. But we are going to see the Norse religion kind of pop up, and some Vikings who like this pop up at a later date. A later date in real life, they pop up now. As they quickly, kind of pillage or whatever. They do what Vikings do, and they get their religion around all along this coast. Send their ships up, take Svalbard. Because of that, they've created noise borders. As they also start bombing and raiding and whatnot around this area. Until they eventually reach where like St. Petersburg is. And with all this pillaging, they send their troops. Well, they don't send their troops. They send their guys, and they keep on pillaging until eventually, they've spread it. They've preached, kind of. I don't know. They've committed mass genocide, basically. They've committed mass genocide, and they've taken over all of Scandinavia. And along with that, they're going to land in Scotland, these Vikings, and in Iceland. And this is going to be a cause for war, as the Danish mobilise the Vikings, who have just been declared war on by these guys, as they also mobilise their troops. Now, if I had to rank these countries on strength, this would be like the first. They would definitely be stronger than both. Then in a far second, it'd be the Danes, and then a far third, it would be the Scots. But if I had to rank them on a global ranking, Danes and Scots, terrible. Nordia, I'd say top 20, potentially. You've got to do that. So yeah, Nordia is way stronger, but they kind of just send their troops in, and people are kind of fine all where the religion is. They take Nordia's capital pretty quickly, as the capital will be infected by the Danes' propaganda or something. As they also start to do a really quick march, as people just join in the army, they see the Vikings, are hey, I want to be a Viking too, and they just join. In Scotland, however, they make strategic water landings, landing in the Faroe Islands and landing off the coast of Iceland. This is where it's tricky, because their religion hasn't really landed there yet, so it's going to take actual strength. But here in Nordia, their religion is still going with it, as they are quickly steamrolling Nordia. And just because they got this bit, that's basically all of the strength of Nordia. That's basically everything they have, in terms of army-wise. So they kind of just quickly do this, go across, do all this, go down to Lake Ladoga. And Nordia surrenders. With the surrender of Nordia, we see that their army is way better, and all of their guys are in Scotland. So they quickly take Scotland over. And let's look at a peace treaty, I guess. Alright, so in this peace treaty, we see that the Danes kind of get all of this land, along with Gotland, whatever. As they also get Iceland from Scotland and these guys. But the big thing is that on the religion map, we see that their religion is allowed to spread all across the territories that they claimed. And that means that the French religion is only actually, sadly, in Scotland. And not even in the actual Scottish country, just the Scottish bit of England. But yeah, now that these territories have kind of all been claimed, it's a big, massive race by all of the surrounding religions to spread as many people as they can, spread as much religion as they can. Because these guys are all, now that they don't have this territory, the Holy Land, they're huh? And Eastern Orthodoxy is kind of screwed here. We see that Catholicism is quick to jump, cutting the, Scandinavians, Danish off, but the Danes do get a bit of this northern land, as they also cut the Catholics off from the Baltics. The Ottomans, the Turkish religion, tries to get as much as they can, but eventually the borders end up looking like this. And, yeah. Basically, all these people kind of confused on what to do. They didn't have, a Pope equivalent anymore. They didn't have Holy Land. They didn't have nothing that their religion kind of stood for. So these three guys just kind of walked in, and they were like, yeah, we're killing you all now. We're going to shoot you with our guns. Oh, yeah, by the way, yeah, because Vikings are now here, yeah, they're shooting people off the coast with just, like, long-range guns they've made. Like, they've got kind of, like, hunting rifles that are just going, poof. You know? That's how the Vikings work. But yeah, there was a big religious battle. Also, if we go back to the anarchist guys, they've connected up all of this. And, you know, they've made it look a bit more messy, I guess. They've also got a few more splodges, connected a few of the splodges up, you know, whatever. Oh yeah, also this religion here is going to be known as Protestantism. And actually, these guys can go back to their colour, because now that I realise it's kind of called Protestantism, because it's going to be these guys' version of protest, like being a Protestant, Christian, whatever. I realise it doesn't have to be the English shade, because it's not their original, like, thing. It's not their original idea, I guess. It's not their original, like, religion. So, these guys all become Protestant, a different version of Christian, frowned upon by the Catholics, but that's kind of the whole point, to get revenge on Rome for what they have done. And a, like, version of Christianity, like, it's not going to be this colour. I'm actually going to change that colour. A different version of Christianity pops up. Wait, I don't know if this... That's the Dutch colour, so no. Pops up, and these guys all, like, turn into it, as we also see a bit from there. You know, it's just starting to spread along that west coast. Also, thanks to the stops of the, like, mass genocide, we see that the Korean religion is finally put back to where it's supposed to be. And it's all spread back as the people turn back to their original religion. As it stretches down to there, and that's like kind of the cutoff point for where people are going to be. Except they try to, like, make their way up here, like a lot of people start turning in the tip. But these guys all remain in North Chinese hands. So, but yeah, that is going to be all. That's going to be all for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I guess, bye.